Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas, and today I am recording with Kelly Wade and Diana DePaola. I think.
DePaola.
Okay, Italian.
Italiano.
Okay. Makes sense. With Staff Boom. And I thank you both for joining me today. I think you guys are out in California. By the way, I lived in Sacramento for a year and then in Berkeley for a year. So I'm very familiar with Northern Cali. Corona, I'm guessing, is Southern Cali?
Yes.
Okay, so Diana's in Northern Cali and Kelly in Southern Cali. Okay, awesome. Yeah. So we always give the guest the chance to give the elevator pitch. What is Staff Boom and why should the audience of insurance listeners care about it?
So I'll take that one. Staff Boom is a US-based company. We're located in Anaheim and we operate out of the Philippines. We provide offshore staff that can take on your back office, which allows your key agents the time to spend customer facing. So basically any task that can be documented and does not require an insurance license, we can take that on for you.
Okay, so the idea basically being if I can free my expensive local account manager or CSR to spend her time doing the things that are value added for the client,
correct.
We're all better off, right? She's I can pay her better. She's more valuable,
right?
Or him,
right?
Okay.
Yeah, our goal is to overcome the challenge that we'll have to cut that out. Challenges of increasing labor costs and millennial turnover and just, inconsistent results. So that would be our goal, is to fix those issues for you.
And I'm gonna say that the labor cost piece, it's gotten ridiculously crazy.
Yes.
And by the way, since we talked earlier about recording parts of the interview for your own use, this part would be very useful for your marketing. Absolutely use it. The insurance talent market has gotten absolutely insane. It's been difficult to find talent for the whole time that I've been in the industry, and especially for the whole 4 years that I've been on the talent side of the industry. But the post-COVID talent shortage, not talent shortage, the post-COVID worker shortage, labor shortage in the overall economy has only exacerbated the already existing talent shortage in our industry, because we just haven't invested in bringing and retaining talent the way that we should have for at least since 2009, probably since before that. And also our industry is very mature. The workforce in our industry is very mature. We had 30% more baby boomers than the average industry before COVID. And the famous stat that we've been talking about for years, that the average insurance agent is 49 or 50, right? Their service people are not far behind that. And in 2020, 3 times more baby boomers than expected retired. So of course we lost a ton of experienced people.
Yes.
So this is and this is not going to get better anytime soon, even if the overall talent situation gets better. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me why an agent would outsource the things that are not real value add. How does it work? So if I'm an agent or an agency, and I have 1 account manager or 6 account managers or 15 account managers, at what point does it make sense Is there a minimum size for which it makes sense? And how does the process work? I give you a call, and how does it look? That was a complex question. You can
That was
you can
more
answer
than
it
one.
in whatever
That's
order. Yeah,
a
exactly.
couple in one.
Exactly. So
Okay.
explain the process basically.
Okay.
I can kind of start with that. But before I do, I kind of wanted to add something you said about the COVID and the employment crisis that we're facing. Not only did COVID force people to allow work from home, it also allowed business owners to see that it's not necessarily impacting productivity. Things are still getting done, emails are still being answered. And so our business has doubled. It doubled last year, and it was even probably pretty similar even in 2020. We had a huge December 2020 as people were kind of figuring out this isn't really going away. And so that's been something that people are kind of thinking more about, alternative resources. So one of the things Kelly and I do, obviously we go to a lot of trade shows, we're involved in associations, we have a presence throughout the country, but we teach a CE class on outsourcing, and there's different ways to kind of look at it. Obviously there's the staff boom way, and then there's other ways to do it. And so what we do in this class is we talk about the things that are important to consider when you are outsourcing. And then we give this handout, and so I can share some of those things. Kelly mentioned earlier the location. Where Staff Boom is, we're in the Philippines, which most people may not know. It's an English-speaking part of the country. The people there are very highly educated. Their government pays for secondary education, and it's very proper English. Where Staff Boom is, it's a former U.S. Air Force base, so all the street signs, everything is in English. It's a prevalent language, and so that's something that is a big deal, that you can communicate directly with your reps rather than have to go through a translator, and then maybe there's time that lapses, especially for those time-sensitive tasks. Another thing to consider is, are they going to be speaking to your clients or your underwriters or your companies? With Staff Boom, we put our people through a 6-week class before they're even eligible to be placed on an account. And we assess their skill set, we assess their reading and writing comprehension, their propensity for learning, their morale, but we're also seeing how they're interacting with others. Are they more comfortable on the phones? Are they more introverted, put their head down? And so we have metrics that we measure every representative again to see what role they would fit best in. And so as Kelly and I are qualifying our prospects, if there's a lot of renewal requests, endorsements, a lot of things that might require a higher level of understanding, we would probably want a voice rep. And we have a whole operations team that assists with that, and I can get into that in just a minute. But a couple other things that are really important in considering your outsourcing provider is the schedule. Can they work your US day shift, or is it overnight? With Staff Boom, we can do either, or a blend of the two, so that you can have certificates handled within 2 hours, or you can have the team work overnight, say for an MGA where they're just doing indexing and clearance, so that the team comes in and their inbox is full of tasks or activities in their management system. Another thing to consider is industry knowledge. Different BPOs or business process outsourcing companies, they'll not have necessarily a niche. Staff Boom is exclusively the insurance industry. So we don't mix in with advertising or marketing. We strictly handle back office for the insurance industry. Another thing that is something to consider is what kind of model is it? Staff Boom's model is what's called a dedicated model, meaning your reps are part of your team. They're an extension of your team. So they have your email suffix, they have your area code if they're calling out. They don't work on anybody else's account. So as we're tracking all of their minutes of every day, we'll also report back to you on their utilization, because they're not the other model, which is called a static model, where it's kind of like a call center or pool of candidates that as a task comes in, whoever's available will answer it. and hopefully send the email to the right place. Pricing is a big deal. Some companies price it based off number of tasks that are performed. StaffBoom, because it's a dedicated model, it's a flat monthly rate after a nominal onboarding fee. And the invoice is very simple, number of reps multiplied by whatever the current rate is, as opposed to other companies that might pass on the fees of doing business in other countries, or internet fees, anything like that. Management system is the BPO, familiar with your management system, and then process development, which Kelly, maybe you want to take process development in terms of how we get started after the onboarding and Snagit and secure things. Do you want to take that one?
Sure. Yeah. So along with our dedicated reps, we like to base everything off of your processes and procedures. So we like them to feel like an extension of your office, where we know that, you know, most of the tasks are pretty universal, but you have probably like a tweak or two that we like to make sure that we have our reps process the same way as you. So we give you this tool that you can download the link. It's called Snagit. It's a very easy recording tool. It records your screen completing a task from start to finish. And then we take those videos and we create like very detailed job aids with pictures, screenshots, arrows pointing to where you're going to go and why you're going to do that. And then basically that is how we train your team. So they do feel like how you would train somebody in office. It's kind of just like an extension of that. So it's a very easy, user-friendly tool.
I've got to say, that's better than how most agencies train their people. Because you're actually standardizing, right? At most agencies don't have like a standard operating procedure for unless they're really large, for any given activity or any given process. Just basically whoever you happen to sit with for the first couple of weeks, however they do it is the way you're going to end up doing it. Right. Not super standardized. So that's good.
Right. And then you get to keep that material to use internally. So then
that's fantastic.
If you hire internally, then you can also use that material to train your staff that you bring in. So it streamlines your process. So it is a great way to kind of kill two birds with one stone.
Okay. With the Philippines being a developing country, is retaining the people hard? So you know, I get a couple of dedicated assistants. I get to know them. I get to know how they work. I trust them. Are they likely to last less than a local hire?
The way the Philippines is, you know, we're in California, we're an at-will state. And think about the hiring process. You post out a job, you do the interview, you go through all of the HR, you hire them, you maybe train them, maybe not, but then they start working and then maybe it doesn't work out and you're back to square one with posting the job and all of that. And this is the downward spiral that a lot of agencies are in because of the talent crisis, but also because it's hard to scale as an insurance agency owner, or any other company. It's hard to scale when you're drowning in that kind of day-to-day. And it's kind of demoralizing too, that you finally found a candidate, you finally hired them, and then they didn't work out. And so what we do, that's the at-will model. In the Philippines, they're contracted employees. And so the interview process to even get them into the 6-week class is pretty rigorous. So they're mostly friends and family referrals, although we do have an HR department out there that posts for jobs and goes through the selection process. And then that 6 weeks of the training, we have the most attrition in that time. They're going through their classes, they're learning, maybe they don't catch on or it's not for them. But then once they're placed on an account, we have a 95% retention ratio. So the reps generally stay on your account. Of course, there are situations of pregnancy or people moving away, getting married. But one thing that I will brag about Staff Boom is we take really good care of our people over there. BPO is a developing country. Manila is one of the most populated cities per capita, and we're about 2 hours north of Manila. They're moving a lot of their businesses into Clark Freeport Zone as a development zone. And so there is competition, which is why we take really good care of our people. So outside of the fair pay that we provide, we also incentivize for lack of errors, for attendance, for employee of the month. And then outside of COVID time, we would host these enormous Christmas parties where the owners of our company, myself, some clients, go out and they're auctioning off scooters and TVs and just all of this stuff, raffling rather. Really, getting everybody team oriented and motivated. So the structure over there too is also very conducive to kind of like a congruent company, even though people are working on separate teams. It's an open floor plan. Everyone has dual monitors. The structure is there's a domestic operations associate that's assigned to your account to facilitate the training, the touch point calls, just kind of checking in monthly. And then in the Philippines, your team would sit together, and then there's a supervisor that oversees a few teams. But then there's also subject matter experts, trainers, supervisors, all the way up to leadership and president overseeing the whole operation. And so there is competition because we're niche industry insurance. There's kind of different levels that kind of narrow us down to be a very sought after career over there.
Okay, awesome. And you can handle personal lines, commercial lines, benefits. Like, is it like any insurance servicing basically?
Yes. MGA, carriers, agencies, anything in the insurance space, and personal lines, commercial lines, any niche business, we can handle all of that.
Okay. How long has the company been around?
So we're founded 7 years ago. So we are fairly, I guess we're very established now, but we're fairly new. But as Diana mentioned, we have grown quite rapidly in the last couple of years. So we have a little over 700 representatives in the Philippines right now, and we're expanding into Peru as well.
Into Peru, that's really interesting.
Yes.
The Philippines. So I'm from Costa Rica originally, and I've been to Peru. Not a country that I would expect great English in. So are you using Peru for bilingual help or?
Yes.
Okay,
so
that makes perfect sense, especially for California.
We do customer service work also. So your employees can be on the phones. So a lot of our current clients and future clients are looking for Spanish speaking representatives. So we're going to offer that to them.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah. Perfect. How
my light went off again. Sorry, just slide in here.
Motion censored.
No, and I move my arms and it doesn't. It's like takes a lot to get it to come on. So it's like
no problem.
Okay.
How did it come to be? So I noticed that Diana, your former agency owner, or actually former or present agency owner. I don't know if you're still running your own agency.
Former agency owner.
Okay, former agency owner. So that's good. I love seeing solutions that came out of somebody seeing a problem with the insurance as opposed to just an IT solution to a problem that might or might not exist. So how did the idea happen?
Exactly that way. A company that I used to work for, they had the same needs. They had employment needs. They needed a 24-hour system, and outsourcing was a good idea. They decided to do it themselves. Our company is now owned by kind of a group of investors that span different, their agency, carrier, MGA, and then an investment group. So it came from an agency need, and then it expanded significantly in the last couple of years with not just agency representatives, but carriers, wholesalers, MGAs.
Okay. Fantastic. Awesome. It's been interesting to chat. Thank you. By the way, like I said before we started recording, I love the logo. The disheveled hair and the nerdy glasses definitely caught my eye right away. And are you the agencies and carriers you're serving West Coast California heavy or kind of all over the country, wherever?
We're all over the country right now. We're spread all, yeah, I would say we're not based solely in one place. We're nationwide.
Okay. How long does it take from I give you a call in desperation to we've deployed one or two people?
So typically from the time we sign the contract, it's about 6 weeks before the team is going live. And so what we would do is schedule that onboarding call with our domestic operations rep, either Kelly or myself, and then our Filipino supervisors and IT, and kind of course out the living document roadmap of what tasks are the most important, if there's simple tasks that we can take on quickly, all the way up to maybe 12 months out where we want to be handling all the renewals and the direct bill commissions, anything of more complex. We can start with a small task and then add on to it. And so that 6 weeks is kind of getting carrier credentialing, recording the videos, having our team document the process. So that's about 6 weeks. And then the team takes, I would say kind of the ramp up period is about 30 days to kind of drill down those KPIs, those key performance indicators of how long each task is supposed to take, what process or what priority level does it go in? If a certificate comes in, does that always go to the top of the list? How many days or hours do we have to process each task? Who do we go to with backlogs? So we're developing out exactly how we're going to be managing the program. And so then what we do is, because we track every minute of the day, we start to report back to you on an end of month document that says, this is how many tasks were sent over by task type, how long each one took, what the utilization is, what the team's attendance is, so that the client always has a high level view of what the team is doing. And then on the touch point calls, if any issues come up, maybe a carrier website changed and it's not processing the right way, we know to expect the unexpected in the insurance industry. Maybe the download didn't happen, the IVANS number policy last digit didn't update, whatever those are that we find, that's kind of what we talk about on the touch point calls. But typically we're very communicative. And so if, let's say, the operations manager doesn't want to be in the day-to-day, she's going to be doing the auditing, or he's going to be, just kind of monitoring. We have teams that will send an end-of-day report that here's the number of tasks we performed, we're pending these, and so that every day they're getting kind of a dashboard of the team's efforts and where they are in case we need to schedule overtime or in case they need to bring on an additional resource or request more time for a special project. So it becomes a very collaborative effort as we're getting to know each other.
I love that you customize the processes, the measures, the KPIs, the procedures to my agency, and that's very interesting. Given that you're doing only insurance, I kind of like subconsciously expected that that all that was standardized and it wasn't easy to customize for our special needs. But so that's pretty cool. It makes sense. What's the commitment? Can I get a single person? Can I get a half a person, so to speak? What's the commitment to get started? And how long are we signing up for to do it?
Sure. So it is a 2-person minimum requirement. So with the dedicated model, you are given 2 full-time employees. They work 40-hour weeks, and it's about half the cost of what you would pay a $15 an hour employee. So you're really essentially getting 2 people for what you would pay 1 person here in the States. And then additionally, the contract is kind of like a year-long contract in the beginning. So within the first year, though, there is, it's kind of like a trial, because with the 90-day notice, you can get out of the contract within the first year. So within those 90 days, as Diana mentioned, we're onboarding, they're ramping up. So you should know within 90 days if this is working for you or not.
Okay. I'm assuming it's rare that they back out. So
it is, yeah.
Are there red flags? I'm trying to think of how to phrase the question. Are there types of agencies that are just not a good match, that give it a try and it doesn't work out, or really it's kind of unpredictable, or it's so rare that happens that?
Kelly and I spend a lot of time qualifying our prospects because we don't want a bad reputation. We don't want them to have a bad taste in their mouth because we're not the right fit for them. So we do kind of have like our ideal agency size, and there's exceptions to all of these rules because some people use automation a lot more than others. There are still agencies that have paper files. There's some people that are very forward thinking, and they do a lot of thank you cards, birthday cards, a lot of things that aren't just coming to them. They're a little bit more proactive. But in general, a 20-person agency is a good ideal risk for us if they're on a pretty standard management system, applied, Vertafore, products, that sort of thing. And then I would say that the biggest downfall, and Kelly, you can maybe have a different perspective of this, but I would say that the biggest downfall, or what we would recommend most to our prospective clients, is to make sure that you have the buy-in of your people. They shouldn't be feeling like their jobs are at risk because we're utilizing a different resource and segmenting how the company is going to be delivering policies and tasks. And so I think that we spend a lot of time coaching agency owners on typically smaller agencies that you're never going to let go of a good CSR. We can't even find good CSRs, which is why they're looking to outsource. But the idea is to grow, scale, and free up your producers' time to be more customer facing, revenue generating, and valuable to the company. So buy-in is probably my biggest kind of hurdle in conversation. What would you say, Kelly?
I definitely agree with you because if you don't have their buy-in, then they're not going to hand over the tasks, even if we're trained on them. And so then keeping those, your representatives, their capacity up in their day is hard to do. And with the 2-person minimum, it's important that we're given the work, especially the tasks that you want to give to us. So without the buy-in, your team isn't willing to send that over to us. And then just to kind of add to that with the smaller agencies, I think the 2-person minimum can be really hard because our staff, they want to have a full day of work too. They don't want to be sitting there at their desk and if the capacity is low. So I think that's another reason why a 20-person minimum is kind of where we look at for agency size. But like Diana said, there are exceptions to every rule. So there can be agency with a smaller internal staff, but they have all the work there to keep our representatives busy. So we do spend a lot of time qualifying our prospects in the early stages of the process.
Perfect.
And then if I can add one thing too, Tony, before we take on another question, the kind of the supplemental answer to that question is, do our clients stay? And I wanted to address that because we do have a high level of retention. And this last year, there were a lot of acquisitions. So we lost a client because they were bought by a different company. So that was something that, that's a piece of attrition that we had. And then we had an MGA whose carrier went into receivership, and so they couldn't process work anymore. So there's always going to be these types of situations that even if we're contracted into a 3-year term or a 1-year term, whatever stage we're in, our company is pretty flexible in working with people. We're all insurance professionals, either formally or obviously currently, but different backgrounds. And so we know how relationship oriented the industry is. We do our best to maintain a good reputation, and it shows with our retention, both with our clients and our representatives.
Perfect. Yeah, no, you answered everything I was wondering on in a deeper level of detail than I often get. So thank you very much for your time. It's been very interesting. I always want the listener to feel that to have a good idea of if this is the right thing for them. And we definitely hit that. When it goes live, I will tag both of you on LinkedIn and include the link to the website also. Thank you for agreeing to come on the show.
Thank you so much. It was fun.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Have a good day.